Meeting is live. Yeah, all right.
No, it's not.
Well, it says it is. So,
No, I know we are.
all right. Greetings and salutations, weary traveler, and welcome to your Sunday side quest. I'm Rick Strohmeyer, your DM for the night, along with our first NPC.
Matt Hatchis, the lasagna raider. So today, Rick and I are clearly themed for food unintentionally together. He is a can of salted meat, and I am a tray of pasta and cheese and sauce. It seems on brand for us, though. I think it's fairly on brand. You and I, spam and lasagna. You know.
Well, I guess. I was in Hawaii once upon a long time ago, and I was there like a week before their spam festival. And,
I would have been so upset if I liked spam.
So I missed the spam festival, but I got to see tryouts for the Olympic triathlon, which was pretty neat.
Oh, that's nice.
So I was like, all right, there's an interesting contrast there. Highly elite athletes this week. Next week, canned salted pork. All right. So big, yeah, why not? So the big question, Nicole, what are you drinking tonight while I'm trying to get myself in the camp?
All right, so I am not trying to jinx myself, so let's all feed this to the universe. Nicole is not sick. I'm drinking coffee. I know this does not make any sense, but it was the warm beverage that I started with earlier today, and it's carried on until 6 o'clock for my throat. And then I'm going to have some butterfly tea, or butterfly PT, which I don't know if you've ever heard of, but that shit is fucking amazing. Sorry.
Tell us why.
It is, first of all, it's non-caffeinated.
Okay.
It's from a flower. It's a flower. So there's that. Okay. I love it because it just has like a really mild taste to it in general. And then it actually changes colors. Like, okay, so like if you wanted to have like an iced drink, and if you made it iced and you put lemon in it, it would go from blue, and where you put the lemon, it would slowly go to purple. Like it changes color when you add acid to it. Yeah. So like when I had my solo show in 2020, I had a gin drink. I made a French 75. Am I saying this correct? French 75?
I don't know. I've never heard of it.
French 72? Oh no. I don't know liquor, but whatever. I made that drink as my like mad tea drink because I used it with butterfly tea. And the gin didn't have a high acid content to change the color, but then we poured lemonade on top of it, like a little drop of lemon. Oh my god, it was so good.
There you go.
So I'm drinking coffee right now. The tea is next. I just wanted to finish this at least, you know.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I got that. All right. I'm having a squirt.
So what?
Squirt.
That's impressive.
Grapefruit soda that doesn't have caffeine in it.
I was going to say that's impressively inappropriate, but
there you go. No, we're not being sponsored by Squirt. I just don't want it. It's warm and I want to pour it in glass. So there we go. Yeah. And it's like, I'm probably going to be painting after this. So I'm like, always drink something different, something more than water most times. Going into the mudroom, like, what do I have that's not caffeine? That's it.
I don't want to paint after this, but I know that's a bold-faced lie that I'm not going to if I say that.
Right.
I brought like oops, sorry, my camera went off for a second. I brought like an incessant amount of art supplies to finish work for things that I needed to finish. Like, because hey, if I was going to step away from my little place that like I know I'm going to do work, but my problem, like you know me. So in case everybody's wondering, my brain doesn't shut off at any point. literally, it will go on until I die, I think. So, me over here working until 1 a.m. because I'm not like, or not working, but like working till like 8, let's say, or 9. But I'm so hyper fixated that I can't fall asleep until 2 a.m. because my brain still wants to do more. But I told myself to stop at 9 because in my mind, that was a logical point to stop, even though that's early for me, but that's late for normal people. So I'm like, when we're done, I should probably just chill. And I'm like, I can't. I don't want to.
Story of my life right there.
Yay.
The sleep therapist tried to explain to me how to make it shut down, and some of his methods reduce it, but nothing beats nothing beats the insomnia. The Strohmeyer insomnia is a curse.
Our dear Jason, Jason Voorhees over here, he always tells me to do breath work, and like which I love doing, and like I love going outside and putting my feet in the ground and stuff like that to calm down. But I told him the other day, I was like, it doesn't help. Like it still makes me feel good, but my brain's still going like,
yeah, there's not much that gets my insomnia down.
It's like, it feels nice, but I'm still not going to be able to fall asleep. Like, yeah. Oh, this is relaxing. I'm just not tired.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, once upon a time, well, not once, but in the many times I've talked to a healthcare provider about the insomnia, and it's like, I've checked, go over like they always want to start out with like, well, have you tried this, and this? So I always come preloaded with like, this is the shit we've done. This is the shit that works. It's very narrow, very tiny. And then this is the shit that, like, not only does it not work, it just amplifies. And it's like, yeah. So last time
that happens for you, but I love that like you control it like that. It's like, how often do you have to like switch doctors?
Well, I've seen a lot in the past 14 years. I've seen a few, probably over a handful in the general practitioner that I've gotten the most familiar with and had the most relative conversations with. I've had her for about 3 years, and 2 of those, of course, are during the pandemic. And it was very interesting. Like, I remember having a conversation or meeting her in person before the pandemic, and then, of course, the shit hits the fan, and then we like had one meeting after the pandemic online, and then we had one, I guess, in May or June. That was really, really helpful for a lot of different reasons, and it was also like, because Dr. Mike. You ever watch Dr. Mike on YouTube? Okay, that's fine. So yeah, there's this guy who looks like he should be fucking a cast member of Grey's Anatomy, who has his own YouTube channel, and he's very energetic. He's a doctor. I didn't mean to roll my eyes on that. I'm just like, yes, actual doctor. No, he doesn't give medical advice on his channel, but he does give like generalities. And one of his things that he preaches about is being able to communicate with your healthcare, your doctor, just like having the comfortability of being able to
recognize him.
Yeah. Sorry. Like one of his last ones was incredibly depressing, but the thumbnail should tell you it's incredibly depressing.
Well, no, I didn't do YouTube. I just Googled him and I realized he was the guy that I've seen on Instagram and stuff.
Well, but yeah, so he very much preaches the idea of communication with strong communication, and if you don't feel comfortable with it, maybe you need to have a conversation about that, or find somebody who you can relate to. And so like I opened up with my doctor. I was like, you ever see Dr. Mike? She's like, no. I said, well, this is what he talks about. And like we've had several conversations in the past, and I would like to open up about all this. Like, boom, we're just gonna have a big discussion. And it was a really, really nice one. It was probably the best doctor's visit I have ever had.
Oh, nice. Lucky.
In my adult life. So yeah, like when I was 18, I discovered I did not like the general practitioner that my mom had signed us up for, and I was insistent on seeing my pediatrician. Which like he gave me the worst look ever, and I was like, but I love you.
Look,
And
I was the same way. I saw my pediatrician until I was like, I think like 19, because I refused to let him go.
and he was explaining that he has a couple patients that are in their 30s because they don't know who else to go to. They don't want to go to anybody else, and he doesn't have the heart to tell them to go to somebody else. And he said, but yeah, and so he's like, but I'm going to tell you this is the last one. Like, so it kind of broke my heart, but yeah, so for what, 20 some years, I've never actually found like a doctor that I really want to communicate with until I got my current one. And considering my current standing with other standings, I don't know if I'll have her much longer. So
yeah, my pediatrician, he set a high standard for, I think, for all my doctors. Because like when I had my car accident when I was 17, he obviously, like, he was still my doctor, but like he came to the hospital and like visited me and stuff. Like he wasn't even, like, he didn't have to. He had nothing to do with it, like it's not general practice or whatever. I'm not sick, I don't have a cold or whatever. But he came to the actual, like, to my room and everything, and like checked in on me and all that shit, which I thought was so nice. And he was my doctor my whole childhood. But I always thought it was so funny because, like, how to fuck up a kid who's trying to figure, like, how to, like, always be multi-language or whatever, or be appreciative of, like, different cultures. His last name was Dr. Jawan, spelled Dr. Juan. So when I met him, I called him Dr. Well, like, I was 4, so I was like, Dr. Juan, obviously, like, super white sounding, like Dr. Juan, and he's like, no, it's Jawan, and I'm like,
hey, you do it the way you respect, the way they want it, right?
No, he was white as hell. So I'm just saying, like, he was a white man. That's why I was always just like, I was wildly confused at, like, the fact that, like, as a child, like, my brain couldn't process, why are you saying it like this? It's like, well, I remember when I was little, my friend had a little brother, and his name was Jesus, and totally fine in my head. I could separate that just fine, but I couldn't separate this white guy with the last name Jawan when I knew spelling it like that was Juan. Like, it wasn't like, it's not like Jesus and Jesus. It's not like that. So, like, it's not the same.
But it is.
No, it's not. Why? Was Jawan a person? Or was Jawan a mythological figure, depending on who you're talking to?
Could be.
No. I don't know.
I've encountered a lot of names in my life and in public education that, there's a lot of times where it's like, yeah, how are we going to say this now? So I don't know. All my time in public education has opened up, like, I thought I knew how to say words.
Well, there was a film called Jawan, but it
You
was
want a man?
JAWAN. No, see, but that's the thing. Like after when I got older and then that movie came out, that's all
Mhm.
my ass could think of when I would see him. Like, I want a man. Oh God, I loved him. But so like I hate doctors. I hate doctors. I hate changing doctors. I love my foot doctor. I loved my spinal surgeon. My headache doctor is the shit. Like he'll come in and he'll be like, "How's your garden?" And I'm like, I love that. That's how he walk into. Like, you know, he's not like, "How's your head?" He like remembers those little things. I called to make an appointment with my like regular doctor for when I get back from Rochester up here. And they were like, "Oh, Dr. Roundtree actually left the practice about a month ago." And I'm like,
I'm out.
no, but this, like I've been with this, like I've switched doctors there like twice, which sucks. But I'm like, what? Like, was I supposed to know that? And they're like, "Oh yeah, you should have gotten an email or like a letter." And I'm like, no, I didn't. Can I go back to my last doctor? Because like they switched me from my old doctor who's there to this woman, and I loved my doctor. And they were like, "No, she's like fully booked or whatever." So now I'm with like a guy, and I'm a very weird person. I totally don't mind my lady doctor being a man. Do not want my regular doctor being a man. I don't know why. My pediatrician was a guy. I just I don't know why. I just am like, no, thank you. So I'm going to this appointment like, fuck.
And like
Gotta
even my vets, man. Like when I got a vet for my dog in 2004, this vet came recommended from my buddy, and yeah, my first Shar-Pei, that's all she saw. And we moved up here, and she didn't like any of them. So I was like, "Oh, we're gonna go." And because we always got our rabies tags in December, I'm like, "Well, we're just gonna go see Dr. G and get her shots down in Texas, and she'll just be registered in Texas." I really don't see the problem in that. And then I ended up asking one of my buddies, he was like, "What do you use your dog?" "Oh, our vet is great." And turns out, yeah, he was right. So we have used the same vet since 2007, but yeah, 15 years. But at the same time, like when we were constantly using the vet when I was using the vet down in Texas, when he sold his practice, I never got notification of it. So like the following year, I showed up with Smog after making an appointment, and the waiting room looked a little different. Yeah, there are no pictures on the wall of his dogs. And yeah, turns out he sold his practice, and then he up and died like 2 months after he sold his practice. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah, it was like, and I delivered it that way because it's like that's the blow that hit me. And I was like, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well since you didn't know, and we'll process your dog this year, but you have to find a vet up in Minnesota." I'm like, fuck, I don't want to do that.
boo.
Yeah. But yeah, we ended up, yeah, well, maybe not 15 years, but yeah, it's been a long time since we had Dr. Nolte. And it's really close to us. And yeah, she's seen every Shar-Pei I've had, which is kind of I don't know, it's cool and it's good and bad because like I've gone through 3 in 15 years, 18 years. So
I love my vet. She's the tits. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say it like that too. She gives Pebbles. First of all, I gotta even pause that sentence just to even say it was Pebbles Gotcha Day yesterday, 19 years ago. So clap it up for my baby where she's at home.
19 years.
Shout
That's
out,
cool.
shout out to Pebbles getting you 19 years ago. So she has only been my vet for like a few years now. Initially my vet for Pebbles, I was bad. I'll say it now. I did not take her for yearly visits when I was a kid, like when I was a teenager, when she was my cat. Like I didn't, because I I was bad. I didn't really know. And as an adult, every year, constantly, consistent, whatever. She was never sick, thank the Lord. But now that she's older, she gets 2 times a year checkups. So I initially went to like a college friend, and then he left the practice, but his fiance was there, and I was like, great, I love her too. And then she to go to his practice, and I was like, fuck. And everyone kept telling me like, no, go to this lady, Dr. Mary, like you're gonna love her. And I'm like, okay, like in the same place, because it's just a cat that, like, the place is just for cats. It's literally called Just Cats. So there you go. And Dr. Mary is the fucking most amazing human being in God's creation. Like, there's stipulations for like if you have to drop off your cat for like a urine like sample and stuff, they need you to drop them off in the morning so they could actually try to catch the sample. She has in my cat's chart like like special privileges, like no, she will not be dropped off, like it'll be during the appointment and all that stuff. And like when Pebbles had her teeth pulled last year, she called me before she went into the surgery and called me right after she got out. She wasn't even like hello. She goes, she's fine. And I'm like,
There you go.
she knew if she knew even if she said hello, my heart would be like, why did you say she's okay? Like, why did you say hi? Like, but this lady's the best. Like the minute she walks in, she's like, how's my girl? And she treats them like her children. She talks to me like, not like, oh, like she's old, let's prepare for the worst. She talks to me like, she's doing all right for her age. She's a grandma age. So she just talks to me really calm and real and chill. And I'm like, man, I needed you years ago with this cat. Like even my friend from college and his fiance, like, they were rough. They were rough, man. Like, well, she's getting up there. And I'm like,
yeah, bedside manner is hard.
Like, well, yeah, bitch, I know she's getting up there. Do we need to fucking remind me? And this one's like, well, it's okay. She's like a grandma. And I'm like, now that we talked about her, that's tangent time.
There you go. All right. So we have the color of the month. We're going to wrap that up today and Wednesday. We'll do that today and Wednesday. Since Nicole is out of town, we are without our spinneroonie of color choices for October, so we will be catching up on Wednesday. We're going to do an impromptu, but no, not impromptu show of Paint Club on Wednesday. We're actually probably going to do 3 shows this week alone, where it's within a 7-day period, 6-day period. Where we're going to do one today, which is catch up for the beginning of the month. We're going to do one on Wednesday as a precursor to New York Comic Con, and catch up for the color of the month. And Nicole will also get to share her color of the month finish for September. And then on Saturday, just regularly scheduled second show of the month. Boom, on the 8th of October. So by the 15th of October, not
15th, 8th.
So the 8th, so the 2nd, the 8th, maybe the 9th. We may have moved to the 9th. And then the 16th, and then boom, we're dead for 2 weeks.
Oh, geez.
So yeah.
Wait, is the 16th a Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right, because I have the ALS walk.
So wait, yeah. So
why are we not doing the 15th?
I may be in. Well, we could.
I'll
have to borrow Alicia's parents' basement.
No, I don't. I'll be fine if not, because I'm doing the ALS. I double booked myself because who looks at schedules. I have the ALS walk, and then I don't know if you've seen like the 1,010 fucking like advertisements everywhere for the clued up Alice in Wonderland like scavenger hunt thing.
Yeah,
it's like in all these cities across the country, and I bought tickets for it. And then I think like the Connecticut like ALS chapter like announced the dates for the walk after I booked, because there's no way I would have done that in the same day. Walked like this much and then been like, let's go scavenger hunt, walk around the city with my bum ass knee here.
So
But
yeah,
whatever days we need to.
so like Alicia's family does a birthday month, or does they have like, they have a bunch of people who were born in October, so they just do one massive happy birthday for everybody. And I think next week's it. So like either I borrow the parents' basement for the night, or we reschedule. We'll see how things feel.
Nah, don't do it there. We'll do it the next day then, because I don't want to like. We'll talk about it later. But either way, whatever.
Okay, cool. So now that we've talked about doctors, vets, and the next upcoming week, Nicole, what have you done lately?
Okay, so art wise, obviously we did I almost said decon, because I don't know what. Ew, stop doing that. I don't know what shows we're doing right now. I finished up New York Comic Con, and when I get home, I'm varnishing Booze and Buddies, a Booze and Buddies spooky show, which I have some bullets going to. And then what else have I been doing? My brain is shot to shit. Well, that's what I was doing here. And then yesterday, because I need to talk about this, I got conned into going on a haunted hayride. And I say conned in the most accurate way of what happened, because, and I quote, I was told it is a spooky hayride that's at night in a corn maze, like around a corn maze or whatever, like on a farm, whatever. Cool. No one said anything about people jumping out at you in like costumes and shit like that. Like, I am not the one. Like, you know that. Like, and the fucked up thing is, my whole group of like 11 people were all like this. Like, if I'm over here, they're all like, because they want to see what happens with my dumbass face. And apparently my mottos for when I'm scared now were Jesus Christ, what the fuck, God damn it. So if I was a Christian, I would be going hell. And there was one part of it that's you get off the hayride and you walk through, and it was all carnival, which you could presume what the scary things were at the carnival. They were all fucking clowns. So
yeah, why not?
Which I am literally mortified. Like, when people go, oh, I don't fuck with clowns, like, I know what they're saying. No, I really don't fuck with, like, I can't, like, I almost threw up. I cried twice. And like, we get off the ride, and they're like, oh, one of the clowns was like, are you okay? And I was like, why would you tell me? Start crying all over again and shit. Like, so they drop you off, and they're like, if you don't want to go through like the maze, the corn maze, we'll drop you off at the parking lot. And of course we're like, hell yeah, corn maze. And I'm like, great. Great, just add more terror to my life. Fine. And the first person that comes out, I said, Jesus Christ. And she's like, he's not gonna save you. And I go, oh, I know he can't. Like, I just yell back. Like, so that's what I've been doing lately, clearly giving myself trauma that's unresolved from like watching it. Like, that's the fuck thing. And I mentioned this yesterday too while we were there, like, because I know how much you love Stephen King, so you can understand this. Mm-hmm. I saw Cujo and all that shit, all of that when I was young. Like The Shining, young. Like, I mean, I'm not giving my parents, look, my mother's dead, so she can't watch this and get mad at me. So if my dad does, sorry. I'm not giving my parents any kind of like discredit for having me watch terrible things as a child, because you know, it was also, I guess, my fault for agreeing to it at 4. But you know, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. Like, who's like, oh, let's go watch it? Like, what? Like, what is it? Like, what else did he do? Pet Sematary, like the ones that I watched as a kid, totally fine with, except for it. Like that shit fucked me up. It stuck with me. And last night was a literal horror show. And it was so funny because Dylan's he just said that they definitely withheld that info on purpose just to hear you verbally say it. Like he messages me this morning and he's like, who the fuck convinced you to go on that? And I was like, because like he know, like if it makes you go like this, I ain't about it. Like if I have to smoke some weed or take a Klonopin, I don't want to go. We're not doing it. And the whole time everyone's just like just waiting for my reaction. And I think one guy like was like I saw him go back in the cord maze and I was like, where the fuck this guy go? And I go to turn around and he's literally right here, like up behind my shoulder. I'm like, no, like I'm not mad for this. Like, and before we go in, because like apparently my hair looks blonde in the dark, the guy who let us in goes, oh, she's blonde, like let her go first, like, you know, because I'll die first as the blonde. I'm like, yeah, just let me go first and let me get it over with. Get it over with. Like, if I'm gonna die, let me die. Yep, that's what I've been working on lately. My sanity falling.
There you go.
My sanity collapsing into a pitfall, obviously.
Well, I don't know where to start. I'll grab something. All right, so let's see. Yeah, well, I'm gonna share my color of the month because I've got it right there. So our color of the month was what? Techno blue, which some debate about what to do for it. And I painted a Funko Game of Thrones dragon for it. Chow. And yeah, this turned out pretty cool.
You know what he looks like?
What does he look like?
So he looks like.
Don't you dare say it looks like a dragon from Game of Thrones. Okay.
You
What
said
does he look like?
You said don't you dare, so I can't fucking say it.
Because it's one of the it's a Game of Thrones Funko.
I was just gonna say he looks like what we should have gotten when the Night King took over the dragon.
That's not the idea.
I wasn't gonna say he looks like him. That's why I was like, how do I phrase this without
There you go. All right, I'm gonna share.
He looks like what we should have gotten from that season that they fucking shoehorned.
No, they didn't shoehorn it. Come on.
Season 6?
Yeah. Why do you think it was shoehorned? It's like, yes, they need to close it up, but like,
look at the reaction of like Amelia Clark and like a few other people on like the red carpet when they're like, you know, are you excited about it? Are you happy with it? And they're like,
they're not, because they're fucking unemployed now. So like, whatever. It was fine. It's like everybody all pissy that Bran spoiler was king. I'm like, whatever. Like,
spoiler.
I called it at the very beginning because we had a pool for work, and that was the only thing I got right.
Spoiler, Richard, King of the North.
Yeah. So yeah, Bran, King of the North, who didn't do. He was the dude in the group project who never did anything but gets full credit. It's fine.
He literally spends the entire show just like in like whatever like area he is doing like his channeling of that shit, and then they're like, ta-da, you get to be king, and he's like, I don't want to be king. I'm too good for this shit. But while we're at it, I want you to feel terrible and be traumatized for your favorite character dying to protect me. hold the door.
Oh.
Hold the door. No, I was like, not let him die. Let him die. Like, sorry.
So then for boozing buddies, I've got a Cthulhu bus that I had floating around, and I finally finished it up. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. Under the right circumstances, it wiggles, and I like that. So pretty stoked about that. And yeah, it's about almost 9 inches tall, about 8.5 inches tall. Yeah, did it a little different.
Where'd you get that?
So I got this, I think I got this on eBay. Or it might have been one of my 3D printed things that I bought on Etsy. But I've had it a while. And yeah, like the quality of the print was okay, was good. I didn't have to do much or any cleanup on it. Yeah, like it's got 4 eyes, no blacklight reactive parts on it except for my signature. And yeah, I really dig the way it came out. It has a realistic vibe that yeah, I'm incredibly pleased the way this came out. So that, and then today I spent a couple hours in the wood shop making let's see, how can I do this? Making
Keep on. I'm
stuff.
literally 2 feet away. I just need to grab a cord for me to charge it.
Oh, sure. So I ended up going into the wood shop today, making stuff. I'm trying to put on the light. And I made literal jack-o'-lanterns. So I made myself some adorable jack-o'-lanterns today.
Stop it. I was going to ask you what that was. Where'd you
yeah,
get this to make that?
I made them myself.
You laser cut all that?
Yeah, I laser cut the front panels and I did it all today. So like, it was more along the lines of proof of concept, but yeah, I made 3 of them. I made 2, one with the, I guess SpongeBob looking face, and
SpongeBob looking face. I mean, I guess that's what we can call it.
And then something a little more sinister, but yeah. So like the one we're keeping, that I know we're keeping is
He
the
looks
one over
like
there
Jack
because that has. Well, there you go. I just fucked around on Illustrator for a while to make some faces before I left for the shop. And yeah, so like they're simple wooden boxes, the lid, the lid's a friction fit, and then fits a tea light in there. And yeah, little tea light. And yeah, I was like, I've been wanting to make a couple of jack-o'-lanterns, really. And so this was the idea that was floating around earlier this week, and I decided I'd make a proof of concept for it. And I might sell some of them since I am now without a job. And yeah, so fun toys. So I also primed about 10, 12 things this week because I had time to do so. And yeah, so I primed about 10 things. I made a funny little short video about it on my Instagram feed. And then when we have a minute, we'll talk about yeah, well, we're going to actually conclude the Man Things, the series of Man Thing. Thank you, Jason. The Man Thing series. So yeah.
We're concluding it.
I finished it this week. The goal was, as stated, so what we saw each other 10 days ago on the show on a Wednesday night, which was pretty big event, and the goal stated on that show was to have Man Thing finished before the 7th of October. May and that date, not exactly random, but it's also like I need deadlines, or I will procrastinate. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. Rick needs deadlines. So I gave myself that deadline. Why that is because that's when Werewolf by Night comes out from Disney Plus, and Man Thing is in it. At least as far as the trailer showed, that there's a flash of him. So more involved in that movie than the statue we saw him in Thor Ragnarok. Gosh, I'm stumbling. So yeah, so I finished and I was very pleased about it. So sometime this week, I'm probably going to go out into the wild and shoot some photos of it somewhere. It has been varnished thoroughly because I guess it was, yeah, sometime this week, the weather was cooperative and I went outside and I put like 5 coats of varnish on this thing because I know I'm going to take it around. Yeah, I just want to go around like some park or some area and just put it in a lit setting, a daylit setting, and be able to have like nature around it and stuff instead of like my photo booth with a black background. So without further ado, here we are moving the camera up. We are going to boom, Man Thing. And yeah, there we go. Finish all get and as incredibly well lit as I can make it. There we go. So there we go. So to shoot to set the setting, imagine a swampy night, and all you can see are the inky shadows, and a clown pops out. I know.
Why? Why did you hate me?
So as your eyes focus on the night,
Love you.
so imagine as your eyes focus on the light or on the night, and then a streak of moonlight opens up, and there he is creeping out of the inky shadows of the swamp. So he's lit. So if you imagine the planes of existence, you have like peering out of the shadows, and then stuff is more and more backed up into the dark. So more of them is shaded and just painted where he's in the inky shadows of the swamp or wherever. So if we turn it around, you can see how, everything's painted and given the values that it should actually have throughout, but as a painted effect, or as an effect for the painting, yeah, he stands out, or he sits out there where this is like your Goldilocks pose, where you have one arm creeping out,
Yeah.
the head's looming out, and
I love
just
his eyes. Oh my God.
thank you. And then yeah, he's black light as hell. And we'll see. I'll get a screenshot of that. Oh, I think I have the black light set up on the thing. Do I? Where the hell? It's like, where the hell is it? But yeah, so I have thought I did. Oh, it's over there. Shoot, sorry, y'all. This is what happens when we have a live show that's just, I don't believe in editing. So let's see. Zoom, there we go. Yeah, so I have there we go. So there's the front of it. You see,
Jesus
like,
Christ, Richard.
yeah, dude, like there's the back of it, so like imagine, like the moonlight bouncing off the water everywhere else, and like whatever reflective properties. There's the other side, like I said, even the right foot has just like a little bit of that toe still being able to get hit by that light. And there's kind of the Goldilocks pose, but not as well as, yeah. So boom, 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 boom. And the hardest part,
that's front face. Mike, can that be like your profile picture on Instagram for a while?
That, yeah, I can do that as.
That's such a
cool.
cool.
It was on my Facebook for a while, but I switch out my Facebook so often because it's like a dog, one of the dogs, or like whatever I'm painting on. That just like, oh, thank you, Dylan. Okay, that's badass. All right, so thank you. Yeah,
He's a big comic fan and DC fan and everything.
I appreciate that. So yeah, I got that done. I love it. It'll go to decon with me. Might put it up for sale beforehand, so, but
I should give Jason some credit here because he was a big like proponent of why I changed my mind.
Oh.
Not on why I changed my mind, but on like affirming it after I realized I was like okay, like I could.
Mhm.
So shout out to Jason, since now I can go be next to my paint club buddy.
There you go. And
We
then
should, if we can be really like, if we could actually be next to each other, so we could like stream together at some point.
that'd be cool. I'll have to message AA Ron to see if that can happen. All right, and so the other thing that I've got actually, like, because I said I primed several things, I grabbed one to share with y'all because I think I'm gonna add one of the new segments for this show. Is I'm gonna call it Resin Rescue. Cause you know, like
Like
the
bar
inception.
res, but for resin.
Yeah, well, sort of. So like since the inception of this show, it's been like there's been a preachiness or a practice to grab stuff, even if you have something in, to grab it to test on it, or to just to finish things and just like get your shit out of limbo and get it done. And even if you're using it as practice pieces for some other technique, it's like finish your shit. And it's one thing is to make sure like you're always working, one to reduce clutter. And so I like and my rush to get stuff done for decon, you know, I've just been grabbing like whatever, wherever, and saying like, all right, this is cool. It needs to be painted and go to the show. This is part of my business practice where I don't have one, where it's like I'm not grabbing like, oh, what's cool and what's trending. I'm not painting a lot of things that are. I have no idea what's trending right now, so I'm painting whatever I have that's I believe is cool, will be cool, or aesthetically pleasing to me, and get it out of here and in other people's hands. So I have had this bust resin, it's not a print, it's a resin cast from prop makers in Denmark. And I love this dude. I've had to make a wall mount for it because I wanted to attach to something, then attach to a wall. So yeah, I primed this guy with 2 colors, and I don't have a solid idea of what I'm gonna do with it right now, but I'm gonna fuck around and find out this week. But
That's the best version of fuck
Yeah.
around.
so they didn't, so I don't remember whose it is, and or which prop factory actually made this. So it always annoys me when other people like, oh yeah, well, I don't remember this. So I'm like, I have fallen into that category of like, I don't remember who made it, but
When did you buy it?
probably sometime during the pandemic. So Etsy might have a
never-
record of it.
I was gonna say, can you look it up? But
I might be able to. I just haven't bothered to. So yeah, like it's the size of 2 fists. It's yeah, it's pretty good. It's decent size. It's about 5 inches deep and about 7 inches tall and about 5 inches wide. And yeah, it's got a lovely amount of detail on it as some type of sea creature. And yeah, just gonna go to town on it. I've got proof
you know what that
positive.
reminds me of? The Chitauri. Not the like the
No,
like
yeah, from the Avengers.
yeah.
Yeah, could be.
I was like, am I saying that correct? Okay, yes.
No, you sure did. Well enough for me to know what you're talking about. So yeah. So yeah, it's been a busy week, but and the reality is it hasn't been a busy week. So like for those of you, like funny enough, so I've told some people that I quit my job. Um so last Thursday, so 10 days ago, 11 days ago was my last day. I had enough and I just quit. And my brother messaged me like, "Oh, is the art business being good, good enough to you to you could for you to quit?" I said, "No." Um,
But your mental health and is
I just said,
okay.
like, so yeah, what were we? We were 11 days ago when we had the last show, and I was talking about painting at the very end, and I know I said this. I was like, I love painting. It's my favorite thing to do when it's not talking about painting or talking about my other passions. It's like I love painting. It's and I was frowning the whole time talking to you and the internet about it. I'm like, man, I can see I'm tired and I'm unhappy. And it's not like, ooh, everybody's unhappy and everybody should quit. I'm like, it was like, wow, I'm so unhappy about like just 5 hours after work. And I'm like, I can't pull myself to be like talk about my passions. And I'm like, and I said to myself, I don't think my time at that at, there is much longer. And I figured I would quit sometime before Christmas, maybe after Christmas, but I was like, I don't think I can do this much longer. And then the next day, it was just so obnoxious with everything that had happened. I'm like, I'm done. And by 9 o'clock, I was like 70% sure I was going to quit that day. And by
And
10,
what time you clock in?
7, so it's 7:15. So within 2 hours, I was pretty certain I wasn't going to make the day or I wasn't going to make the week. And then by 10:30, I pretty much decided that it was about 80%. And I made a joke with our music therapist about something, and I said, this will be the last joke I ever say to you. And she's like, I kind of doubt it. I'm like, I know something you don't. Like, and by 12 o'clock, I was eating lunch, not even eating. I was like just decompressing and thinking, yeah, I'm done. So like not quite minute by minute, but I was like, yeah, I
Like,
can't.
it was the
Like
progressive timeline of it.
yeah, like like one of the things that we got as a new we pretty much got a new class, which we inherited somebody's kindergarten class, and no, and not admonishing the previous class. We got the kiddos, and it's like, okay, you have a new culture to set. And we did, and we were setting the culture just fine. And then we got 2 kids that were just late from the school year. So they 10 days out, and they just elevated the environment in such a way to where one of them just screamed and cried all the time. Apparently that's what he did last year, and I just never bought into the idea that classroom next door had this kid that was always crying. And then we also got another kid who was also violent. And it's not like, oh, that's the first violent kid that I've ever dealt with. But in 3 days, I ended up documenting about half a dozen injuries. And one when he kicked my precious painting hand for the last time, that was the last time. Yeah, so so the district gives us Kevlar like cut sleeves like a butcher would have for the hands and for the up to the elbows.
I didn't know.
And the guy had scratched me on the forearm through the Kevlar, and And that's not the first time that that's happened to me too. And I was just like, yeah, the older I get, and the more I invest in wanting to get or put paintings and toys in people's hands, the more protective I am of
Your
my
tool.
my painting hand. This is the target shooting hand. This is the painting hand. It's like the kid could jack this one up, and that's not fine, but it's like it'd be more acceptable than jacking the painting hand. And I was just like, I was so mad about the environment, and it's not because of my supervisor, because I still respect her, and I still appreciate everything. I appreciate the idea that I was in her room for 3 years, which is a record for me being there for my 13 years at that building, having the same place 3 years in a row. It was odd. So, but yeah, like by noon, I ended up telling my assistant principal, because my principal wasn't available, that I'm done. And he said, no. He's like, I wish you wouldn't, because help's on the way. I'm like, I've heard that for years. And and apparently they were hiring people. They were hiring people, extra help. And it's like, man, I can't make it through the day. Why am I?
You know what
How am I
that
gonna?
sounds like? That sounds like when the first hurricane happened in Puerto Rico and Donald Trump was like, help's on the way, paper towels.
Yeah, no. So no, we were told that people were being hired, and that's a little more than what we were told the year before, and the year before that, and that, and the year before that. But it's like, we need it now. We needed it before I took medical leave last year. We needed all this help, and it was like very much like, and when I talked to my assistant principal, it wasn't like, it was more along the lines of, yeah, we've worked together for 3 weeks. This is not your fault. You're just the guy you're just the guy who gets to hear this.
Yeah.
So we shook hands. He said, hey, you're always going to be welcome here. I'm like, that's cool. And I messaged somebody else. I messaged some other folks that I was quitting. One of which was like, oh, come work for us or our school. That fell through. But I'm pretty much in a free fall for a while, and I haven't decided if I'm going to actively search for work now, or before decon, or after decon, after Thanksgiving. I just haven't decided when it is. So like, you guys will see more hustle for me on my Instagram for sure in the next coming weeks, because got bills to pay. So right, it's like
we're pounding it. Ow.
So like, I mean, like that's one of the considerations of why I might put Man Thing up early, is just so like to make sure that things are taken care of. But that's so like, yeah, like it was a hard time, hard thing to the hard decision at first, but
it's a
2 days, yeah, like once Saturday rolled around, it was like, oh my gosh, like I mean, the stress of like having to make sure like the house is taken care of, and everything, all that bottom level of the pyramid is taken care of. That's not as much as having to worry about like what's going to happen in the work job, or in the work life. So yeah, like free fall for a while. See what happens. This is where I'm now fucking around.
I'm gonna just quote Frank Sinatra. The best is yet to come.
So yeah. Like I had a coworker who she was a theater tech, and she had decided that she was going to leave 1 year. And when she said like, oh yeah, I'm leaving so I can go be like a theater production person elsewhere, and just gonna be contracting her skills all over the metro to do what she loves to do. And I said to her, good for you. She's like, absolutely good for you. And I was like, that's inspiring to where I want to do that too. And I said, I'm going to set up a 5-year plan to see if I can up and quit. And then like I was on year 2 when the pandemic hit. And it was absolutely like, no way am I making enough money during the pandemic to quit this job, nor like the health insurance and all the other benefits. Like, okay, let's figure out how to go. So like, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
first person I told I was quitting was Alicia, and she kind of wrote it off because she's asked me like for the past year, how's it going? And probably once a week I would reply to her, I want to quit. And so when I told her I was quitting, she wasn't sure if I was crying wolf or not. And like, then I had messaged like a guy who wanted me to work for their school. And I messaged one of my buddies, and I messaged my mom, and my mom is all of a sudden trying to call me. I'm like, I can't call you right now. I'm like, sorry, I'm still working. And like, I messaged her, I was like, I'll call you in 100 minutes because that's how much I have. And like from
text to sound like you're dying to your mother.
Yeah, my mom and dad have done that to me plenty of times in the past 10 years.
Yeah, but they're allowed to do that.
No, like, no.
We're not allowed to.
Absolutely not.
No, they're not actually allowed to, but I'm saying in their mind, they are
not. No. My dad once called me like, you need to call me, it's an emergency. Because he needs me to pay for something he bought on eBay. And he can't wait a fucking hour. So no, they're not allowed to do that. My mom will do that all the time.
I agree they're not allowed to. I'm saying they think they're allowed to because they're the parent.
No, they are not allowed to do
that. My dad will call me and be like, it's he does that too. And then I'm like the one time he'll call me times in a row, knowing that like I'll think it's an emergency if you call, or twice, like he knows I'll answer because I freak out thinking it's like an emergency. Like I genuinely am like, why don't you call me 3 times in a row? Who died? Like usually that's why I answer, who died? And I answer and he's like, I just need you to answer this question. And I'm like,
no. My mom and dad were in this horrible car accident like 10 years ago. And my dad leaves me a voice mail and says, oh, your mom and I were in an accident. I'm going to call you tomorrow at 3. And just, that's it. So at 9:00 at night, I'm now stewing on that for 18 hours. No. And like I had to call I'm calling my mom's cell because my dad's not answering the landline. And I end up calling my grandma. She's like, oh, they were in an accident, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what the hell? So like when I talked to my dad the next day, he's like, well, I said I'd call you back. I'm like, no, you don't leave shit like that. So yeah, you're just my brother's having twins.
my stepdad this year he got COVID in June when I was in California, and I got a text message. I was like, oh, by the way, I had COVID. I'm like, what? Like, what the fuck? He's like, well, what were you gonna do from California? And I was like, at least like tell me though, you know what I mean? Like the hell. And Facebook reminded me though that he's very consistent with this because yesterday was the anniversary of in 2019 where I found out via Facebook status on his brother's Facebook that he had appendicitis. It was I woke up in the morning to seeing a Facebook status from my uncle going, had to rush my brother to the emergency room for an emergency appendectomy. And I'm like, no. And I look at my I'm like trying to check, like, did I miss a call? Like I'm looking because I think I was on my iPad and I'm like, where's my phone? Like, let me check my messenger wallet. Nope, not a damn thing. I found out via a Facebook status that my stepdad, this is like right after my mom dies too. So I'm like, oh, for Christ's sakes, like can you please? And he's always like, I didn't want to worry you. I'm like, like, let me tell you what you're doing by not telling me. I was like, I think it's a little bit worse when I find out as a surprise. Like, I'd rather worry than be like, oh, by the way, because like he has diabetes, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna get a phone call that's like, oh, by the way, they need to cut off my foot, God forbid, but like just like something like dramatic like that,
Right.
or it'll be 3 days after it happens, and I didn't like text him, but like his car is outside, so I'm like, oh, he's fine. And then like all of a sudden I get a text message that's like, oh, can you help your dad up the stairs? Why? Oh, he had surgery. I feel like that's just something that would happen. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like just nobody
So-
wants to tell me. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah. All right. So meanwhile, so yeah, that's my fault. I ended up going down the
our parents stuck rabbit hole. Let me stop.
Yeah.
You know what? Dylan, who's watching, his mom's like that too, so it's fine.
Well, like my mom will leave voicemail. Richard, I need you to call me. This is an emergency. Like, what's going on? Well, I just wanted to know. And it's like, that's not an emergency. Like an emergency is me having to jump onto a plane to come help you or do something. Like,
I have an emergency. What temperature do I boil this at?
right, some shit like that. So anyway, so we're gonna go to technique of the week because I have a super simple one that I enjoyed.
Look at you.
So what?
I said, oh shit, we actually have one.
Yeah, we have a technique, and it's probably a throwback to some other one, but like I utilized it while I was priming my shit this week, and mainly because like of all the toys I'm grabbing. All right, so most of my toys, you can see that there's a hole in the foot because I mercilessly drill holes in my toys so I can put a stick up it and hold it while I'm painting, right? It's a practice I've done for years. I know I see lots of people do it. No, good on y'all. Like like the first time I put a painted thumbprint on my toy because I'm holding it by the toy instead of like a holder was the last time too. This is fucking dumb. So
it's also good because like a lot of vinyl for some reason doesn't have a hole in it, so like it helps with the leaching and all that shit.
Oh, well, there you go.
Fun
fact. So I had to utilize one of this, and this is the end product. So this is just a plain old, we're going to do it in backwards. So it's a plain old little tiny block that I had in my work bin at the makerspace because I keep little blocks of wood there because blocks of wood are handy. And so what I did is I had wrapped it in tape one way, sticky side out, and then taped it down around so it stayed. And that's what my toy sat on because I couldn't put a hole in it because I didn't think about it at the time, and I still needed to hold it. So sticky block, so I could actually hold it in place and still be able to maneuver it. It's just plain old masking tape. I like masking tape for this because it has more tack than painter's tape. And yeah, so let's see. I grabbed it. So hope it's yeah. So let's see. Yeah. From Fat Dad's, this was the toy I was painting, so I had it stuck up here, so a block up its butt essentially, but then I was able to prime everything around and get that guy done. And then yeah, it's got a bare spot there, but I'll hit that with some airbrush primer after the fact or now or late or before I paint it. So that'll be covered and secured, and then boom, the rest of it gets to be painted up all nice and neat. And then it'll probably end up getting a hole in its butt because of that bottom treatment. But yeah, simple and effective way. Like, I don't remember if we've covered something like that before, and I'm
I don't think
sure lots of people do it. And
that's
some
good.
other, some people may be like, hey, wow, all right. So yeah, like, and some people, or some people, the practice I've done in the past is where I've also taped up like a long strip on a big board so I can stick multiple things down and just and super easy. Model painters do it all the time. Um, Model painters are cheap and they don't want to give money to or manufacturers for like specific paint or miniature holding devices. That's dumb.
When I used
Tape
to
it,
be, sorry,
tape and blocks work just fine, or paint sticks. You can get paint sticks free from the freaking hardware store, and you can tape those up to your heart's delight.
when I baked more, I used to make like cake pops and stuff all the time. And after I would like, dip them, I would stick them in this big styrofoam block that I had.
Right.
But I had, what did I have on top of it that like the styrofoam never got dirty because I would peel it off each time. So like whatever dripped on it, I forgot what the fuck it was. Maybe
Like
it was maybe it was
contact
tape.
paper.
Yeah, it might have. I can't remember now because it's been forever. But I like when I started doing, like sticking, like drilling a hole and doing that, I was like, oh shit! Like I run to like my kitchen like cabinets. I'm like, I forgot. I have styrofoam that everybody has pre-done holes in it. Because all it is like a popsicle stick hole, and like obviously like if I needed a bigger hole for whatever reason or whatever, just made a bigger one. But I like, and they were spaced out a certain amount because of the pops, because of the sticks and the cake pops, but it able to kind of do like a so if I'm priming, I'm like,
yeah,
like a little lazy Susan maneuver.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the best thing ever, but like it's not very eco-friendly. But it is, I guess, like if you reuse it often.
But like I have a couple of wooden boxes that I've made where I've glued 2x4s down the bottom of them to add extra weight, and I've pre-drilled the holes so that they are here.
Every time Rick gets up and his chair spins like that, it literally stays in the same position.
So like, yeah, so this is just an old drawer and I put
smart as fuck
fucking 2x4s in there, and I've drilled, so I screwed them in at the bottom. There, that's the only thing that attaches them, so that's holding them there. So in the event I ever want to change those out, they're just self-drilling deck screws in there. So and three 2x4s at about the drawer is about 15 inches in length. So yeah, it's got enough weight to where I don't think I've had anything tip it over and stuff. And so like I cut my sticks a little low so then it may occupy like, this is about 4 inches, 5 inches tall, but 5 inches because there's a 2x4 stick. There's a 2x4. There's still about an inch clear, so it's about 5 inches deep, and then I can stick toys in there, and like I shorten my sticks a little so I could actually put this on a shelf, or sometimes I leave them on the floor, but they stay on a shelf, and then everything's compartmentalized in there. That's that works out pretty well. It's like super easy tip. I know I've shared that before, but it's like I don't mind revisiting useful tips and stuff. Like there's enough YouTube tutorial people who they recycle their shit, and it's like the fanatic people are like, yeah, we've heard this before, but if you're a new person, it's like cool. Like
yeah,
thanks for revisiting that. Like
well, because especially like a lot of the stuff we did before, like yeah, we migrated it over here, but we were on Facebook and then we post it here and stuff.
Yeah, so like yeah, like just that's a cool one. And like I saw Chris Reiniak once. He had leveled platform or layered platforms where it's like 2x4 sandwiched in between two layers of wood, but it's wide enough to where he could slide in weights. So yeah, he's using like exercise weights to slide in there to make sure that thing's not tipped. Like Yeah, go, man, go.
Wow. That's pretty badass, actually.
Yeah. Like I have an old printer stand that's on wheels downstairs, and I've left one of my bigger ones just on top of it. It's just my mobile drying station. So I just push it up next to me when I'm air brushing so I can like spray and then put it over there and then grab the next thing and
Yeah.
move back and forth. And even sometimes it's like because I can wheel it under a light, I will just it's a little lower, but I'll still like spray on that instead of the table. Like, yeah. So let's see, where are we going? Oh, yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna challenge you. So
Do it.
yeah, for the last week. So you get 2 weeks to figure this out. I saw on the Toy Chronicle earlier this week that they were sharing a toy. Shit, I don't have my notes, so I'm stumbling as I
Uh-huh.
okay, so they shared the K-Bear by Key 2X, aka Section Toys. And it's inspired from the art of a Kanye West album. And
Yep.
their opening line is arguably one of Kanye West's best album art covers was on the Graduation album. I'm like, all right, well, I've never seen it. So I went and looked at it. And then I look at all his other album covers. I'm like, well, it's hard to top Takashi butchering his name, Mirazaki. God dang it. I love his work too. But it's hard to top
Murakami.
Takashi
Yeah.
Murakami. It's hard to top him. And I was like, that's cool. And it's a viable statement. Yeah, that's compared to all the others. Yeah, that's a really cool cover. Hard to beat them. So I was like, well, what other really cool album covers do we have out there? And so I'm going to lay a challenge to you, Nicole, to find five in 2 weeks.
5 of my favorite,
Yeah,
top.
five of your favorite album covers in 2 weeks. And I'll open up that whole discussion on the Facebook page to see like what other people feel like would be theirs. Because
But does it have to be like my top 5, or can it just be 5 in general that I really love?
Well,
because if
what's the difference?
Because I would have to sit. You said I'd have 2 weeks, but I feel like I would feel like in a month from now, even if like we have 2 weeks, I'd be like, fuck, I forgot about blah blah blah. Like I would see it and remember. Okay, fine. We're gonna give me 2 weeks. That's a challenge. That's
instead of giving you 6 days.
Yeah, that's the point of the word challenge. Okay, fine. Fair.
Challenge, dude.
Accepted.
This is a high school project, not a master's dissertation.
Challenge accepted.
Good. Because I'm like, I haven't figured out one yet. So I was like, oh my God. I'm going to be looking through some CDs tonight. But I tried to not like
have to go to the attic for my dad's, like my mom and my stepdad's records and go.
But I tried to not think about this until I talked about it tonight, because I was like, I don't want to try and give myself an advantage on this, even though it's like, all right, this will be a prompt. It's fun. It's fun. It should be good-hearted. It's not like,
yeah,
but like, yeah. So yeah, good luck to you. Like, I don't know what I'm going to consider a good album cover. Like, I know I went looking for those once upon a long time ago, and that is something that's kind of lost in the digital age.
Yeah.
So, like, RIP physical music things, physical music albums.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, cool. All right, what else do you need to share? Would you like to share tonight?
Okay. Nothing. And my ass is going home at 5 a.m. tomorrow. So
Very good. All right, so we'll recap real quick. Wednesday, we're going to spin the wheel of color and have a new October color.
we'll talk pre-Comic-Con and other shows.
Pre-Comic-Con. And we'll figure out some time in we'll figure out a time on Wednesday where we're both available. And yeah, thank you to everybody for listening to the personal woes of me leaving public education, at least for a little while.
Richard Strohmeyer is officially a starving artist.
That is true. I'm at least an artist. I'm not starving.
I know, but you know that
right.
people always think that if you're just doing art, they're like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry," and you're like,
No, I love
"The
it.
fuck? Why are you apologizing? No one's dead."
The moment I can start turning this into an actual career, yeah. So with that being said, it's not an end, it's a beginning.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes. Like, I'm in a much better place than last time we talked and we broadcast, and yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So thank everybody for listening, watching, and participating in the chat. We are here for the good times, and everybody talk. Rule number one is everybody talks about Paint Club. So Nicole, where will people find you?
You will find me on Instagram at the.net. And I promise after New York Comic-Con, my website will be fucking clean and like regularly available and not stupid.
I guess I should be relaunching mine soon. All right, so everybody can find me on Instagram, Rickstroh, RICSTROH. There's actually a coupon code there right now. Cheap obligatory home shopping network plug, and which violates with I believe. All right, so thank you everybody for
and to quote something from Dahmer, because you and I used to do
does this taste funny?
Good night, everybody. Since Rick used to do his sign language with me.
Oh,
two fingers, one thumb.
Dahmer
didn't say it, but it was said in the fucking thing. Okay, so two fingers, one thumb.
Shop accident?
No, fucking the guy was deaf and he was saying "I love you" to his mom.
Oh, I thought "I love you" was that. I didn't realize there was a one-hand signal for it.
Yeah.
Oops. Well, I learned something new today.
That's the only thing I've ever known in my life besides like.
Oh.
Doing that, yeah.
It was "I love you." All right, cool. The more you know. Good night, everybody.
No.